until
I
you
should
stop
be.
quickly and then.
Where should I sit?
But no, I cleaned them. We went to your
Is
Christmas
everybody,
tree
but the
on
board's
Sunday.
gonna be here?
All the rocks cleaned up,
Cleaned 'em all
parking is, did you see where they
Okay.
rolled all that parking area in front
We'll
too?
only have 4 out of 5 board members today anyway.
4 out of 5 ain't bad.
It's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
I used to
It's
agree
tough.
for that, and I used to 80%. I'll take it.
Really want to see that stay. So, anyway,
So I'm scavenging for everything.
How was the conference?
There was
the
one that I
convention?
think I saw.
The what?
The municipal convention.
It was good.
Always a great time. Always.
It was good. There was a lot of new vendors.
Really? Good.
Yeah, with technology
Yeah.
wise.
Are they gonna have it?
Like everything from assessing to zoning, planning software, just a lot that I hadn't seen in the past.
Yeah.
And not as much with regards to equipment. You know, like public works equipment
Marcy's
or
interested.
police equipment or,
And nothing to sell. There's no there's such a
They
backlog.
probably don't have it.
Yeah. It's-
Sit over
so
there, ask your
it was good. The sessions were, the sessions that I went to, I only was able to go one day, but the sessions were very good. And then this week is Health Trust Annual
necessarily the
Summit.
tax relief.
So they have their annual business meeting and then do seminars during the day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to that on Thursday because there is a new plan coming out, which is a cost-effective plan that I hope we can add to our suite of plans here, which is more cost-effective for both the employee and the town
Yeah.
to switch people over. If, you know, here's our cafeteria of plans. You pick where you want to be. And
Well, and it's so
She's got other
surgical now.
people asking
You know what you need, and if you can find it,
to
all
meetings.
peripheral
That's what I
stuff.
told her.
In the old days, remember, you could get a benefit without maternity benefits,
You can't just,
and that really saved a lot of money on that premium.
yeah,
So if you got a single guy,
the majority of.
this one is the new one well, actually, there's a new
That's the way it works.
Medicaid plan that's coming out that Health Trust is doing, which is a huge savings to the town. And then this Access Blue, which is a 2040 site of service, but it includes so much more in the site of service, even though you may have to travel a little bit.
Yeah.
There's no copay or deductible associated with those.
Well,
that's
thankfully,
what
I don't
I
have
moved
to
him
get
to
budget.
at Mount Prospect. It was a huge savings,
Oh, you know,
incredible savings.
even with
University
that
system's
plan,
got
with the plan we implemented last year, it's not a site of service, but it's a 2040.
Yeah.
We saved almost 50%, and that was giving everybody, in order to kind of give them a little gift for switching over, a $500 FSA,
Yeah.
and that was even with that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how are you? Whichever part of the day it is. It doesn't matter.
We sitting anywhere?
Yeah,
Yeah,
wherever makes you
we're
happy.
sitting someplace. I guess wherever you can park.
Park or sit?
Park, sit. Just so you know.
Hey, Bill.
hey, Bill.
How are you?
You yourself.
Got out early, so you guys.
I can get to it in 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
I have my budget meeting with my boss.
120.
And I started with her telling me my budget was
Hey, what's going on, Danny? Good.
and not show up to it.
I'll just email Kathy directly. I didn't know if that sounded like it was anything for the.
She,
Got a lot going on. I felt wrong.
she's seen it, but I don't know if
That's the conversation we will have.
Yeah, she's fine with just direct email.
Okay.
Mary Ann?
We will have no Mary Ann. She was unable to get away.
That's too bad. I was gonna give her her bag back.
And I
Just
don't
have
see
to
Neil yet, so.
Carry it a bit longer. Yeah, I don't know where Neil is. I thought he was gonna be here.
Now we have quorum.
Yeah, are we gonna wait for Ann?
We could share.
Sure.
Matt,
Hi, Matt.
We was told that you're bringing coffee for everyone, but it's not.
Yes, I have little Dixie cups. I'm trying to portion this out.
As long as we don't mind that you've had something out of it to begin with. Right?
Yes, certainly.
Well, I mean, you had to check it. Check it for safety. Well, let's get started. I know Ann's gonna come in with some printouts for some of us, me, who forgot theirs, but we can get started otherwise. Yep.
So, this afternoon is a meeting for the Budget Committee to discuss with the selectmen what their recommendation was based on their budget, and if there's any questions, with regards to the police department, obviously Chief Hutchins and Deputy Buffington are here to answer those questions, but just to kind of bring everybody up to speed of where we are. Ann and I met with the department heads back, seems like months ago now, but a while back when they first submitted their budgets and went line by line with each department, and made recommendations and had some conversations with regards to where we thought we could reduce some cost, of which we did. And then the budget committee and myself met with each department and went through their budgets, and the budget committee asked questions with regards to substantiation and justification of their budgets in lines that they may have had questions with. And so what we bring to you today is my recommended budget, the budget committee's recommended budget, and then looking to the selectmen to ask questions, concerns, comments with regards to each department's budget as we move through. So today we have the police department, we have planning and development, and we have fire, rescue, code enforcement at 2:30. So I don't know if the budget committee wants to just provide an overview of where you are with regards to the budgets and the work that we did together in getting to where we are today.
go ahead, Mark. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah. Well, Scott handed us a really solid outline to start with. He worked with the department heads, so there was a lot of things that were taken care of prior to us seeing it. And our goal, again, was to try and stabilize the municipal portion of the tax rate in balance with the capital improvements program, so that we know, given the way we tax ourselves in New Hampshire, we're not going to have dramatic drops in the tax rate. It's just not going to happen. But we can do the best we can in stabilizing, and at the same time have a plan that allows us to keep the infrastructure updated. We're making up for some lost ground, but that's that's part of the program right now, and so that's where we are. And as we looked at staffing, we talked to both chiefs about long-term staffing in the departments. Last year, we were particularly concerned with the communications area, and with the hire that we have this year, I think that the staffing-wise, it's at least manageable for where we are right now. And then, as Scott went through all of the review of the fire department / ambulance service, I think he's outlined a terrific budget in terms of where those costs really belong. We're running an ambulance service / fire department, not a fire department / ambulance service, and you can see those numbers now reflected in the reality of it, of the budget. So I think that the work that the town employees have done has been terrific. For Sue, Matt, Mike, and I, we were reviewing and asking questions, but the preliminary work was really well done. Again, it's going to come down to staffing. What the ambulance service finally looks like, and I think Scott and Chief Morrison have a pretty good plan as he begins to work with what does Ashland really want to do in the future, and perhaps some of these other towns, and then so we have some flexibility there, and also with the university system and the local police department, see where we are as those things come. But I think the real issue for the Board of Selectmen to look at is the tax rate versus the money that's in the capital improvements plan and in debt service. I think that's where it is. We often say that the tax rate's not gonna be balanced on paper clips and rubber bands. It's the big stuff. And so, as Zach has sat through these meetings too, we began to look at the capital improvements program. So, as we spread these costs out over the years, I know there are members of the planning board that were concerned with some of the peaks and valleys in their meetings, and we all are concerned with that. But at the same time, that's where the activity should be. So with that, I would turn it back over to Scott, unless anyone has anything to offer other than me.
He said exactly what I was gonna say. No, Mark got such a great grasp of the big picture. I think it's, he's the guy that pulls it all together here. I'm just a pretty face, but, no. But I was really pleased with the whole process going around this time, and the department heads did a great job. I mean, everybody really kind of fell into step with what we were trying to do, and, a lot of leadership here from Scott. So I think we're looking pretty good. And then with the things that we talked about, Zach, last time we got together about other funding, capital improvements, et cetera, where we might be able to find the money based upon the increase in taxes, I think that will be very helpful to us this year, and next year should be even better, so.
Zach, do you want me to just give an overview of the last meeting of some of the considerations we spoke about with regards to cuts we could see from the capital improvement program?
Yes, are those in what's here in front of us, or is that additional?
I haven't seen what Ann just gave you, but I have them here, which we can make copies of.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they were reflected into this budget already or not.
I don't believe so until we had a conversation here. But my goal when we started the budget process was to come in hopefully with a level funded budget or somewhat less than what we appropriated last year. And the budget that sits in front of you as we went through came in $104,000 less than what we appropriated last year. So when the budget committee met last week, in review of where the budget's at, with regards to where the tax rate is at, and with regards to what the new assessments did to the properties in lieu of what taxes were going to be paid, we sat down and had a conversation about what big items could we address a little differently. And part of that is, and most of it comes from the capital improvement program, and the first thing is looking at the highway department and the blower that was requested this year. It's a piece of equipment that would be nice to have, but not absolutely needed. And in these times of when we're trying to tighten the budget a little bit and be more cost effective with purchasing equipment, we decided that that probably could forgo this year's budget, and that's $150,000. The second part is when we're purchasing big purchases such as a piece of fire apparatus, the dump trucks, the sweepers, and things of that nature, those are 24 to 36 months out on a delivery date. So why should we appropriate the money in this year's budget when the payment won't be due until 7/25 in that following year's budget? So what we would do at town meeting is ask for approval to purchase a new fire engine, a new dump truck, and a new sweeper. And if we defer those payments out to 7/25, it's, one of them is $223,000, the other one is $58,000, and the sweeper is $60,000. The other thing we
Just
talked-
quickly, what are
I'm
the three?
sorry.
What are the three pieces of equipment? Fire truck, sweeper, and
The actual cost on the fire engine is $222,735. The six-wheel dump truck is $57,854. The sweeper is $60,355. And these are the lease purchase payments that we would make 7/1 of '25. The next piece was a recreation van, which would be very nice to have, but is it something that we can afford this year? Or should we wait an additional year to purchase or lease the recreation van? And that's $11,500. Then we looked at capital reserve and really took a close look at what are we saving for? And why are we saving if we're trying to make payments on things that we're having difficulty in making payments on? And the money that we're putting aside in capital reserve is at such a low number, it doesn't make sense to put that $100,000 into capital reserve. It makes more sense to take that out of the budget so we can reduce the overall budget cost. The next item is in the planning department.
Is it,
I'm sorry.
is there an amount on the change?
100,000.
100,000.
The next item we looked at was planning department, and right now, with June's position, and she's working part-time, and at this point in time, she's really working on, as the administrator for the downtown construction project. So it's very much less hours, less dollars being spent with regards to her efforts on that. But we need that administrator to be able to work with the EDA and do the things she's doing. And she is assisting a little bit in mentoring Joseph on some things with regards to planning and zoning. So my thought was to reduce her position by $20,000, and that still gives us very adequate funding for the work that she's doing at this time. The current budget, as it sat before we had this meeting, was down $103,605, which, if you take all of these pieces into consideration, it brings the budget down $726,049, which relates to close to $1 on the tax rate. Are there other areas, like
Does the 726 include the 103?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be
Yes,
the
it
total.
does. Yes. So those are some of the things that we talked about with the budget committee last week in lieu of what we found out the tax rate was going to be, what we found out the assessments, how much the assessments went up, in order to control the spending, reduce the spending, and try to reduce the tax rate by another $1 per thousand moving into next year.
So we're down about $7 for this?
$7.06 per thousand we were down.
Right, and now it'll be another $1 plus if we.
That would be the hope with this budget here.
Okay.
And that would keep, staffing at its current level. We're doing some things that are untraditional for the town of Plymouth and trying to save dollars as we move forward. One of them is credit to the police department and working collaboratively with Plymouth State University. They cover the crossing guard at School Crossing in the morning and in the afternoon. And we cover 4 hours in the afternoon between, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex and Nate, 3 and 7 o'clock, that they have an open shift period. So it's kind of one hand washing the other on that. Something else we're doing is that, this can be a bigger effort in the future. It's just I haven't had time to wrap my hands around it yet. But, for example, Parks Department, school is closed today, so there's not really that rush on getting the school cleaned up. So we know that Dan from Parks ran the sidewalk plow previously for the highway department. So we don't have a sidewalk plow operator now because he chose not to return to duty this fall, even though he had told us he was going to return. He didn't return. So this morning, Robert gets on the phone with Steve and says, Dan's available if you need him to run the sidewalk plow. Dan comes down, runs the sidewalk plow. So some coverage from Parks to Highway Department.
That's
So I
great.
think there's a lot more of that we can take advantage of. It's just a matter of really looking at it a little bit more closely over the next year to see where we can collaborate our efforts amongst multiple departments in getting things done. But that's where we are today, with regards to the discussions that we had with the Budget Committee, last week.
Two big changes I just wanted to draw Bill and Ted's attention to in this budget. One, we have reorganized the ambulance and fire, so that's a big shift in the way that those line items look, as we shifted a lot more costs towards ambulance to reflect the reality of the call volume on that department. And the other big thing you'll see in here is that the health benefits, so health, retirement, all that has, maybe it's just health. I could be wrong about that part. It's not retirement, I don't think. Insurance, health, and dental have all been shifted to personnel administration, which is a change. So you might look at the police department budget, say, why is it down $150,000 or whatever? That money has been moved over into a new line item specifically for that. So makes it a little bit tricky to just look and compare apples to apples, but it's, I think, the right long-term move.
I mean, the one thing we did with the health insurance last year, if you recall, is we offered an additional plan that created a cost savings not only for the town, but for the employee as well. And even by offering a $500 flexible spending account, we still save money switching people over. We'll be looking to add an additional plan to health insurance this year, which is an additional cost savings to both the town and the employee. It may be attractive to a younger employee that doesn't foresee any major health issues over the course of a year, which again is a greater savings to the town, a greater savings to the staff, but also reduces our liability with regards to payments of what we're making for insurance. With regards to the fire department budget and the ambulance, typically over the years, we've lost between $200,000 and $300,000 a year on uncollected revenues from commercial insurance, from Medicaid, Medicomp, because as the insurance industry does, once we submit that bill, they go through a repricing process. And that bill is processed and repriced and comes in much lower than what our actual costs are to run a business, to run the ambulance service. So what we did this year is really sit down, and a lot of credit to Chief Morrison and Deputy Pierce, of going through and actually finding what the true cost of running an ambulance business is. And based on that, we were able to show the percentages of calls that go to Ashland, that go to Holderness, that go to Rumney, that go to Bridgewater, and their billed, their contract cost is based on the percentage of usage that they use the ambulance service. And what that does for Plymouth is we know we own 47% of those ambulance runs, so we'll pay 47%. That's our responsibility. But that other 53% is split up between those four towns. And at the end of the year, in their fourth quarter payment, any money that we've received from a billing perspective of that town, that will be deducted from their fourth quarter bill. So we're breaking even on it and not losing $200,000 to $300,000 a year on bills that haven't been collected. So that's the process we went
And
through.
those four towns don't have a problem with the new,
We've heard back from a couple towns, but as of right now, they're continuing service with us.
good,
Even Ashland,
Well,
looking
at
at,
least through.
As of right, through 6/30/23.
At least through 6/30/23. That was,
You
it
know-
was a headline article in the newspaper this
You know,
week.
the case of the matter
24,
is,
yes,
26,
24.
they've gone out to bid on other ambulance services, and you're not gonna find a better deal than what the town of Plymouth has to offer to you with the care and control of the service that we provide. But, that's one, if the towns choose not to go with us, then there could be some areas of further reduction in
Yeah.
staffing and budget.
Next year, we'll look at if the call volume has changed and whether or not we should adjust our staffing to
Absolutely.
compensate.
I mean, the call volume right now, the call volume that this was based on was roughly 1,900 calls. And that call volume has increased tremendously over the last few years.
Okay, so we have, who's first on our docket? That's a good intro.
Police department.
Police is first.
Yeah.
Bill, Ted, do you have any questions for police?
Not as of yet, I don't see anything that jumped out at me.
Is there any change in staffing here at all, anywhere in this budget, or is it all?
In the police budget, there's no staff changes from what was appropriated at town meeting last year.
Although you've been living with deficit, so that kind of like, at least you're able to save revenue without populating our full staff, which is good, but
I think when people have an opportunity to read Alex's report for the annual town report, they will be amazed at the amount of activity that flows through that police department in the course of a year. How many misdemeanor arrests, how many felony arrests, how many cases are referred to Superior Court, to the county attorney's office. I think people will be amazed at the numbers that this town creates with regards to not only criminal activity, but general service activity. When you're averaging 700 calls a week for service in a town this size, that's high. That's a lot of calls for the amount of officers that we have on the force and on duty. And I think from a staffing perspective, I think we're where we need to be. And the only reason we're where we need to be is because the scheduling that, the creative scheduling that Alex and Nate do to make sure we have officers on some of the more critical times and days where activity is seen.
When I look at this overall, it looks like police is at worst level funded and perhaps down a little bit.
That is correct.
Once you remove out all of the adjustments for the health and insurance.
Right.
Is that accurate?
Exactly, yeah. We didn't-
Effectively, this is pretty much level funding you for the next year. Which, all things considered, is kind of an accomplishment, because I assume you do have something factored in for wage
Raises,
increases and
2.5%.
so,
We definitely made some adjustments.
yeah.
When you look down through the resource officer, remember that the schools pay 75% of that budget.
Right.
So it comes back to us.
Correct.
And the revenue that the parking enforcement brings
You
back
get
to
half
the
of the
town as
revenue,
well.
that's correct.
are there any opportunities with dispatch as far as picking up any more towns or the county?
Well, right now with the staffing levels that we have to get more towns, we're pretty busy right now. for
Yeah,
what we have right
true.
now, so,
Yep.
It would be difficult to add additional towns for more activity.
I don't want to expend any more money, but have you looked at the treads, the walking, dispatch manning? The county has like treadmills.
Oh, no, we do have our consoles that do go up and down, so
Right.
people can't stand, but yeah.
Yep.
And you mentioned parking. Do we know what the revenue is for parking?
I believe last year, it was over $100,000 that actually came back to the town. They actually brought in over 200,000, half of that goes to the parking fund. So I would say it should be better than that if the downtown drainage project is done quicker than we anticipate.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll see a
the
little bit of a
downtown
decline.
project obviously,
We'll hit those revenues,
yeah,
yeah.
it did, just because of the.
But that
parking.
sounds like it mostly, if not fully, covers parking. So in the past, we've talked about parking being kind of running in a deficit, but it doesn't feel like that's the case anymore.
It pays for itself.
It does.
I think the benefit there is that some of the things that were in parking previously, like, there was like an administrative person
Yep.
took that out, and so
Moved to
it
the
really
police.
just reflects what that cost is.
Good. On that similar sort of note, do we know what our revenues are for dispatch service we provide outside of our town?
About 225,000.
But we bill just like the fire department's gonna bill, it's,
Based on call volume?
yeah, it's usage of the dispatch center.
Yeah.
Obviously Plymouth,
We use it, we're gonna use it the most, absolutely, that makes sense. But the fact that that revenue's covering, you know,
under half.
just under half, that's certainly worth noting to the taxpayers, that we're not on the hook for that full 528 for our dispatch service, we're paying half that. Anything else we should be aware of, chief?
no, I think it's, everything looks good. We went over with the town manager, and if we could make adjustments, we did.
I mean, I think the other thing, Zach, that has to be pointed out based on an accountability factor is that since we've implemented our new procurement policy, the credit cards get reviewed thoroughly each and every month, is that not that departments were spending an excessive amount of money, but the procurement policy puts it in place that you have to get 3 bids. And that maybe in the past wasn't done as effectively as we could have. And I think that's had something to do with the control of spending and making sure we're seeking it at a governmental rate or a state price. So I think there's other things we've done throughout the year in adopting different policies to make sure that from a financial management perspective, in assessing the financial liability the town has, we've dotted our i's and crossed our t's to make sure that the money's being spent in the proper format.
It's good.
All set?
All set?
Yeah.
Are you going to look at the CIP, or did you already?
We did not look at the
We
CIP.
should. Let's look at that too.
We talked about what we discussed last weekend with
Okay.
regards to deferring payments, the blower, the recreation van, as well as what the current budget was down and what we discussed in the planning department of a reduction of 20,000.
So for the police department, on line 705, I believe.
Cruiser?
Yep, police cruiser.
Okay, so we have a new cruiser coming next year. At one point, we were going to put money into capital reserve for the building. We have, I believe, recommended that be pulled out.
We recommended $100,000 be pulled out of the capital reserve.
All right. So it's still in this budget, so we did not make any further changes, even though we talked about them last week.
Yes. And other than the cruisers, anything new for the police department and capital reserve?
No, but you did have a question, Zach, about, because we had a totaled vehicle and a new vehicle coming in.
Yeah, not in the 2024, 25, obviously, but
Right.
whatever that vehicle is, do we, you know, when we, because the capital reserve looks out 6 years. So is there a point out 6 years that there's a payment that shifts one way or the other because we have effectively?
Our cars, they last, we use them for about 9 years, so they go from frontline cars down to supervisors and then detectives. So, I mean, we use our cars to the end of them. And then at the end of them, if they still have some life to them, like we just gave the highway department one of ours. So it's not like you just use it for 3 years and get rid of them. They do get used to the end of life.
And the average mileage, Alex, when you turn that car over is 100 and,
I think the one we just gave the highway department was 110 or 115,000 miles.
Yeah, I know you guys do a great job managing
Yeah.
that fleet. I just wondered if, because we have, I don't know what year that was, that of the cruiser that got totaled,
2020.
The one that was totaled.
The one that was totaled. So 2021.
21.
Was it 21?
I thought it was 20.
Might be 20.
It was 21.
It was a
21. So I didn't know if that meant that in terms of frontline cruisers, if you had like a year that you didn't have to replace one.
No, not necessarily, because this totaled one will get replaced, so I mean, it'll work out towards the end. So the one that we'll get, if it was approved at town meeting, will replace a 2012. So at the end of the fleet, that one will get replaced, and it's a 2012. So if we do skip a year, then we're gonna have a really gap, so,
And it won't be for the next 6 years.
right.
Okay.
Because we were doing 3 cars every 3 years, so don't forget, we do one every year. The 2018s, you know, a couple of those are really gonna be pushed out even further.
Okay.
Yep.
That was my only question. So there's nothing else police in here?
Don't believe so. The only other one was putting money away in capital reserve and.
For the safety?
Taking that out.
We have the body cameras,
Oh, sorry, body cameras are in
we
there.
have the dispatch consoles.
We
we
took the
have the
dispatch consoles
tasers.
out. The console was a savings. We weren't gonna put that in next year.
But we have that listed out in the CIP.
We didn't make any changes after our discussion.
Okay.
We were gonna make changes, but we wanted them to see everything as
Okay.
a whole.
That'll have to change this plan, has to go back to the
Yeah.
CIP committee anyway, even if we didn't act on it, but right?
I'm sorry.
Any change to the capital improvement plan, I mean, we can choose what to do with the budget, but then reflecting that back into the plan, that's for
Right,
the
that's what we'll
CIP
do.
subcommittee to do. Tasers, it's this year as well?
Yes. How long did it take you to get your new cruiser when you ordered it?
Which one?
The
The
new
last
one? Yep. The one that you bought for this year.
So I think it actually wasn't too bad. I think we ordered it right after town meeting. We got it in June, the end of June.
Mhm.
Wasn't bad, but they're not making Dodge Chargers anymore, so we're gonna have to switch to an SUV. So it all depends on what time you order it and what the stock is.
Switch to an SUV, not another car?
Yeah, there isn't any other companies that make it in a police fleet sedan right now.
Really?
Yeah, state police are going to Tahoes, right?
Going to Tahoes. Right now, if you-
Starting now.
Yeah, if you order a Tahoe, well, you can't order one. If you can find a Tahoe right now before, well, actually, it just switched. Before December, it was 41,000. He said after December, it's going to go up to 51,000.
Yeah,
Wow.
And that's prior to equipment.
right.
And your only options are really the Ford Interceptor, the SUV, or the Tahoe from Chevy, or the Durango from Dodge.
Wow.
At state bid.
Right, we use state bid. Not many options out there.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's tough. Anything else for police?
Can't think of anything.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Next was
Planning
planning.
Department.
And are you repping planning department?
We are, Ann and I will.
You and Ann, okay. We're not gonna put Joseph on the hot seat.
Not this year.
Not yet.
You're looking at page 2, line 111. So is that first line the line that you had discussed with them already, Scott?
Yes, that would be a reduction to 61,557.
And of course, that will affect the other lines
Yeah, like
first.
the benefits
Yeah.
and
So we'll fix those when we're.
so that area is a net down.
It will be.
It's pretty close, though.
We did have 34,073 in health insurance. You can see that in this year's budget.
Yeah, so prior to removing that 20, this was an increase of about 16,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that by reducing that, it turns this into a savings.
It does.
This is a pretty straightforward one, I think.
Yep.
Any
It's all
questions?
based on usage.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, in the scheme of things, not that big. Any questions, Bill?
I don't have any other.
Last year's revenues to go against that budget was $23,067.80. This year, so far, they've collected $7,800. So they're getting there.
Yeah, it's on par.
Yep.
Are we also doing land use enforcement? Or is that on a different time?
Building inspector is right underneath, line 132.
Yep. That one is going up.
It looks like it's going up significantly.
We did not budget enough for the position of building inspector when we put this together last year.
Yep.
So that is gonna be your increase, I believe.
So this is a part-time building inspector, and that's pretty much the,
It is. Building inspector, code enforcement. We have him doing, he's here quite a bit. Busy.
So that's not under fire then?
It is under the fire department, well, that's where his office is. But, and that's where everyone would go for a building permit now
Right.
as well.
why did we leave Medicare in the individual department budgets instead of moving it to personnel administration?
Medicare goes along with salaries. Health, and Medicare isn't protected by HIPAA. Neither is FICA or New Hampshire Retirement.
Gotcha.
And you'll see that there is additional funding in that department request. They're hoping to put a new software program in place to assist us. Right now, we're using spreadsheets. This new software program is going to help us in the long run, tracking many different facets of work that we're working on for building permits.
Something that it does, we have to report to the U.S. Census Bureau every month with regards to building permits, inspections, et cetera. And what this software will do is automatically track that and submit the report to the U.S. Census Bureau to make sure that we're accurately reflecting the activity.
Is that a one-time software implementation cost, or is that going to be ongoing?
It's a one-time software implementation cost, but there'll be a user fee in years to come.
And is that user fee similar to that upfront cost, or?
No.
So is it going to be,
that's
it's like a 7K jump this year, and then it'll be less next year?
Yeah.
And how much efficiency will this investment yield us?
It will reduce the objective of error, because right now, there's so many spreadsheets that, when I was in that position, there's so many spreadsheets you're juggling, just because that's the way it had been done. This here puts it into one program and prints out the documentation with regards to all of the activity that takes place within the building department.
So there, not just error, there is a time saving
There's a
too.
time savings of entering into multiple worksheets.
Like that.
I like that.
Any questions about land use?
Nope, it's pretty straightforward.
Set.
What else is on our official agenda today?
Ambulance.
Ambulance and fire.
Code enforcement, but not until 2:30. I don't know, are they coming over?
Tommy is homesick.
Oh, okay.
So I just sent him a message because he was going to join us via Zoom. So I just asked him if he could join now so we could continue meeting.
Do we want to,
Start
I
on
know we have a scheduled series, but do we want to like go back and just do the selectmen one since we have time?
Sure.
Starting on page 1, line 1, huh?
Page 1, line 1.
So we're going from the 462, 784 for this year, down to the 395, and removing 76,000 in insurance, 77,000, sorry, insurance between the two.
So we're up about 14,000.
We are, we did, there's 3% raises across the board for all the employees. We also took out a part-time person in the office. We only have one part-timer now, working 3 days a week instead of 2 part-timers working
5.
5 days.
5 days, right, covering the 5 days. In addition, we are asking for additional hours, I think 5 additional hours for PBTV, when you get down to their salaries. A total of 15 hours for the part-time person there.
What's the Community Channel 3 general?
Dan?
That was, I'll let Dan.
Sorry, I don't remember all the lines.
Yeah, that's a big up.
Yeah, it's just a new one.
Is it software?
Or hardware, or what's going on?
That's-
Yeah, we'll put you on the
Here he
spot,
is.
buddy. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
So the plan is that our operations budget was tied in with our equipment line for the past number of years. And that looks like we're spending $6,700 a year on equipment, which is not the case. Over 3/4 of that is our operations. So that general line is our operations line, separate from our equipment line going forward.
So, okay, so the equipment line, that one's down 3,700.
Correct.
And then, but, so even if we account for that 3,700, there's still, what's the 6,000 increase?
So that's including what we've been trying to do of going digital with our channels and recapturing the cord cutters.
Okay,
So that would have a portal website page that has our government channel and our public access channel 24/7 live with everything on demand that way. So people can still watch now anywhere in the world what's live on cable.
okay, so that's more than just what we're doing on YouTube?
Correct. That's literally taking the cable channels and putting them online. Because in 2018, when Charter Communications knocked the channels from 3 to 20 to 1301 and 1302, it's made it really difficult for our constituents to find our channels.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it has to be over a cable box. So no OTT, and you have to have a certain level subscription. The basic plan doesn't get you those channels anymore. So this is my attempt to recapture a market of people and help stay informed with our community, if that makes sense.
I think so. How will people consume that?
Just going onto a website browser. There, we will have a web address,
Yep.
which will also link over to the town website and our page. But it will bring you, you'll choose whatever channel you want to watch, and it's just like watching on TV.
It's like live stream.
Exactly, it's live
That's what it
streaming.
is.
Basically, what helps is that YouTube, we can't go live 24/7, so people lose our bulletin board.
Okay.
So only people that have cable can see that, which is becoming fewer and fewer.
Gotcha.
And then it's just our normal schedule. But we'll also have everything that's on our server on demand as well. So we won't have to rely so much on YouTube. If something were to happen, we have another place that people can find all in one.
Will we have a way to report on consumption on those streams?
Those ones we can, yes. The only ones we can't is, again, Charter Communications Spectrum.
Right.
But yes, I'll have figures daily, monthly.
So we'll be able to see, does this, are we getting
Are we getting our bang
dozens
for the
of
buck?
dozens of viewers or hundreds of viewers or what's this look like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think will be really interesting to see how
Sure.
many are tuning in for the select board meeting, the planning board meetings, the zoning meetings.
Yeah.
And when Dan and I discussed this, I was very supportive of it, just because of our mission to be transparent and be able to communicate effectively with the townspeople. Because we know they don't want to come to a meeting, but if they can live stream a meeting, best case scenario.
Especially if we make it easy for them to do
Yeah.
so.
That's the goal.
It will be interesting. My hypothesis would be that we don't get a lot of people who watch the live stream, and that we continue to capture that audience mostly through the YouTube replay. Because I talk to a lot of people who watch our board meetings, but they watch them, on their schedule during their time, the next
At 1.5
day, later that
speed.
night, maybe at 1.5 speed. Which none of that speaks to the live stream. That speaks more to on-demand consumption. But it'll be interesting to see.
I think it will be interesting to see, so we can gather some data on that.
That'll be nice.
Just on a side note to the budget for the PBTV, we do receive Adelphia, we called it Adelphia years ago, franchise fees. Last year, we received $64,361. And we also have received Channel 3 miscellaneous revenue, which is just one town.
Just actually.
And last year, we received $1,485.
So is
So
that
we-
revenue still gonna be carried through because we recontracted with them?
We're hoping.
Yes, as
We're-
I
we're
haven't heard
working.
anything different, I've been in talks with them. So they pay a yearly membership fee, and then they also pay us to run their live streams and coverage down there.
Okay.
So it's their equipment, but we have an hourly rate with them to cover it.
Great.
Is there a point eventually in the future where we should pull the PBTV out into its own section?
We certainly can.
Starts to approach, it's not that, it's probably close to $100,000, And not that that's anywhere near the police or ambulance or some of those, but,
I agree, for townspeople to be easier to see its
yeah.
own section.
Because they sort of look at executive and they say, we're paying the selectman's office $500,000. Not really.
It starts approaching without
too, I
which
know.
the parking budget is.
Yeah, you start to be able to isolate that out and say, hey, here's the PBTV budget. It costs us $100,000. We reclaimed $64K in fees, and so we're offsetting over half that budget. It starts to, I don't know, feels more reasonable for people to understand.
Oh, I completely agree. And just talking with people always saying, oh, I didn't know you guys still existed, or I don't know where you're located. We are upfront
Yeah.
with everybody, all the departments head at town meeting, because obviously we are streaming the meeting and working the event. So it's just another way to be transparent and out in front of everybody.
Yeah.
I feel it'd be a great idea to get.
And to be clear, I greatly value the work that PBTV does. I rewatch sporting events. I watch meetings that I can't attend. I tell people all the time to watch these. It's a great service that we have. So I appreciate that we have it.
You
And
want us to break that out in this budget?
I guess my question would be, in DRA's chart of accounts, do they have a category for this? Remember, we have to follow DRA.
I don't know yet.
Yeah, I think if DRA has that sort of thing, they should by now, because every community in the state is doing something like this.
A lot of the larger ones especially.
Yeah, I think if DRA has put it in the chart of accounts, then we should follow that.
I would guess it must, even if it was communications or something,
Right.
because
Yeah,
most
Yeah, I
Large
agree-
municipalities
I
gotta
agree
have
with you.
something.
The issue, though, for these two is they've got to follow that.
They gotta follow
charter.
DRA, absolutely, yeah. I would say if it's not a
If we
huge
can do
thing,
it,
then
we'll do
it
it.
would, I think it would be really nice, but if it's a pain in the butt, it's a
Okay.
mild request.
So the only other
Those
item,
lines, the website line as well, can all
Yeah.
tie into one.
Yeah,
To show that communications side that we cover now.
so we did leave the 17,500 in, I believe PBTV and FAC. What's that mean?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
You mean
It's a
in
capital
capital?
reserve. On
I
line
wasn't aware I had a capital reserve.
740.
Which
Well, we
one?
took the
Where is it, 740?
17, that you had two of them. One was 10,000, one was 7,400. We took and combined those, put them in the capital reserve. If you don't get the offset from the cable company, then we'll use that money for your updates.
Gotcha.
If we get the offsets, then we will leave that there and potentially reuse it some other place. $17,500.
Between the PTZ cameras and the production cameras?
Yes.
The PTZs are for this room.
Are those PTZs, is that what that is?
Yep.
Yep.
And I would be looking with that to add a fourth in that corner, just to help cover more. This one is hard to get.
I was gonna say, in particular, when we have people sitting here.
I bet you right now.
You don't have an angle.
If I had that camera running, I can't switch and be here at the same time, but Mike earlier was partially cut off even with the lower third, so just
Yeah.
helped to give him more coverage.
Quick question, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you receive any revenue for doing events for others, like the schools or anything like that?
Or Ashland?
Just Ashland is the only thing we have budgeted for, or we have an invoice for, and a contract. That's it.
Okay.
We have attempted to pull in the other towns that we broadcast to, but so far they've all declined post-COVID. They were back in the loop because of COVID and needing to get information out to their public, but
I have something interesting regarding that. There's a bill that's going to be heard regarding making every municipality and all municipal meetings televised or shared in real time as of 2025. I kind of think it's kind of an unfunded mandate, but we'll see.
But if we do that, we're going to need
More, so we would
more
have to
than
staff
Dan and a
up.
half.
Yeah, no, I know. And that's what I think
well, I
the
mean, that
bill's going to
depends
flame
on
out.
if
but-
Yeah,
they're giving
quarter.
us their feed and they're running it themselves, but yes, we're gonna need to increase for sure if that is the case.
Is that every committee? Everybody?
Every municipal meeting of every town, it's not going to happen. And they're all open anyway, but they really want to have it televised or at least
Sure.
real time.
Well, it's a record of what went on.
True.
Yeah,
It's better than minutes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's better than minutes.
Yes.
I don't have to write them.
Also helpful.
Or if you forgot
Yeah.
something, you can go back and look.
Municipalities will have a problem with that because
Yes.
it is far better than minutes.
It's just in labor coverage.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to be.
Well, that's kind of why I was asking if we got any funding from the schools who we are recording for as well.
That's something I asked about, whether we're doing sports or anything like that, and that's been all shot down from previous administrations here. It's just nothing. We count that the high school as Plymouth, even though there are a lot of other students from surrounding communities, since it's essentially a co-op.
Let me ask this
It's so
question.
hard to
On the,
justify.
if I could, on the school side, the school board could be saying to themselves, are we selling our rights to these games? So they're putting on the production. Do we sell the rights to this? Like when the NHIA take over
Yeah.
and does the championship games, they're charging for that. They're selling that game online. Other schools may say, they may sell packages of all of our football games, all of our basketball games as revenue sources. So it becomes a very interesting discussion. Do we charge for producing it, or does the school charge licensing rights to do that, so.
I
Do we
think
track those over the year? How many of these events that we are doing?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but yeah, we about 100 a year, if not a little under.
And what is that in terms of person hours?
Well, each of those events is at least an hour.
Yeah.
Well, it's more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, football itself, if it's a home game, 4, 5 hours. Travel for away games, that all counts, so it's something I have to take into consideration with my
I think
hours.
it would be an interesting statistic to look at so that we could figure out what that expense really is.
Granted, a lot of it is volunteers that help out, so.
We don't pay Mike?
We're not
We
paying
don't
money
pay
for
Mike to be your, okay.
Nope, just TV time for me.
Well, I think if it came to it where we're having to deal with licensing rights, having data showing from our own website of our viewership would only be prudent in time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've started conversations with the school with regards to this topic. And Dan and I will be meeting with them over the next few months. But there may be some creative solutions on how this position could be funded.
Good.
Good.
And also take into consideration, we're heading into an election cycle, so there will be more revenue with the franchise fee theoretically from Charter Communications. So the more ads that are coming into
Oh,
town,
yeah, during election
more
season,
revenue
there's
that
more
gets
ads.
thrown over to the
Interesting, yeah.
Do I get a break?
Theoretically.
Do I get a break when I put advertisements up? No, we get it.
Different.
If you double.
When you put advertisements up, we're getting a little bit of that back.
Wow, that's pretty accurate.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you jumping in and covering some extra space.
No problem.
Well, we're early, but we have the deputy chief here.
Yes.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
I apologize, the chief is very sick. I don't think you want to talk to him on the phone.
How dare he be sick?
Oh, we also have Jen as well.
And Jen,
And Jen is an important piece of that puzzle.
she's my backup.
That's right.
She's my moral support.
So they start on line 289 for the ambulance. Want to come over this way so we can see you? Thanks.
Kevin, I gave him an overview of what we did this year with regards to taking a closer look at the ambulance in the budget that reflects the ambulance into the overall budget in the work that your department did on evaluating the number of calls, how much each town, percentage of what towns have into this budget. So we had that conversation knowing that really
It is up.
it's the ambulance budget and the fire department budget.
Yeah.
But more so, the ambulance costs far outweigh what the fire department budget is in a realistic approach in this year's budget.
Absolutely, thank you.
Should we- 130,000?
And just, Jen or Kevin, so I'm correct, is that Plymouth's portion
I was looking at the
of
difference.
this budget based on run volume
Down 151.
is 47%? Is that correct, Jim?
I think we're around 49%.
49,
Is the
okay.
number I last saw, but that, I could be wrong.
Okay, no, it's
It's
right
very
there.
close, it's right
there.
there, yeah.
Okay.
150K up.
If you're looking at their bottom line budget, I'm showing at about
40.
580,000 in revenue that came in to help offset their budget. Now that will, we're predicting 670,000 next year, or this year that we're in, so.
And then will that go up the following year as this
Yes.
new revenue model goes into play?
Yep.
Because not only will we get the appropriate funding from the contracted towns, but we'll also be collecting the billing revenue that comes back to the town of Plymouth for the calls that we're associated with.
This one's tricky for us to review as as a singular thing because of the reorganization, but Ann confirm I'm reading this correctly, if I go all the way to the bottom line of total fire and ambulance, it's, it says down 151,000, but insurance, life, dental, et cetera, we've pulled 289 out.
Yes,
So we're up about 140 in total.
you are,
Fire.
which probably 110,000, 120,000 of that is a full-time full-time firefighter.
That was approved last year, right?
That, no, there's another one they're
ano-
requesting.
So there's
for.
another additional firefighter that's
There
being,
is.
firefighter, not ambulance?
No,
Operate.
EMS, we do
Well,
both, yeah.
It's for both.
A career
Oh, so,
position.
but is it in the ambulance
It's
section? It's in
split
both,
between-
so it's a
it's-
50/50?
So if you take the 100 and you take 75,000 out of it, that's gonna be your ambulance portion.
So 75% is EMS and the rest is the fire.
Okay, so new EMS fire,
About 75,000.
EMS fire, and you said that person, total cost is 100,000?
Between 100, 110, yep.
And what that does, Zach, is it allows all of the shifts to have 3 people on 24/7. And my theory behind that is that we are truly running a business, and we're obligated by contract to provide that service to the contracted towns. And in order for us to do that effectively and efficiently, is having those 3 people on. There are so many times that the ambulance goes out, and within minutes after the second ambulance is toned for a medical call, we're fortunate enough that we have Kevin on as a paramedic who can assist that third firefighter, EMS person, in going on that second ambulance run. So we're fulfilling our obligation through contract to provide that service to them. Is that accurate, Kevin?
Yes, and it honestly allows us to get all aspects of our job function, fire and EMS performed. A motor vehicle accident, usually we get an ambulance out and that's it. With this third position, allows us to get a fire truck there to help mitigate whatever issues, and it's all aspects of it, but yes. More importantly, we're allowed to operate that second ambulance, because as you've heard us describe the last couple of years, the call company and our call EMS personnel aren't coming in nearly as much. And I wouldn't say it's non-existent, but it's close. It's there. It's down there. So
I would say on a weekly basis, looking at payroll, and when there's callback, we're lucky if we're seeing 1 person come in for callback per incident, which isn't a great help at that point in time.
There's
But the
also-
associated increase, I would say, is primarily with the new person, as well as some additional overtime for that position as well.
And there is an adjustment to some of the salaries who are not or were not at the current standard that they need to be. So that was adjusted throughout as well. And that includes mostly just call members.
Correct.
I noticed we're increasing, when you look at them added together, it looks like we're increasing the building maintenance and repair significantly. Is that,
What line are you on?
I'm both on lines 314 and 366.
What's your account number? Sorry, that'll help Kevin find it too.
Should be 422350 for
50?
building maintenance, let's see. That's custodial, 351 is building maintenance. 422351.
So 23,400 in the ambulance.
And 6,600 in the fire, which brings us to 30,000
Is most of that their
compared to
heating system?
25 last year.
What's that?
Heating system, I believe.
There's the heating system, and then there's the bathroom
Bathrooms.
Okay.
issue that we need to address.
Oh, yeah.
So we only have, for all the manpower
and women, excuse me. We only have one shower in the whole building. So we need a second shower to meet federal requirements, and we do have 3 or 4 female employees who do cover shift per diem or occasionally, or most recently we had a medical incident where all of our personnel were exposed and had to take showers before they could leave the building. And that took over an hour because we only have one shower. And so we need a second shower to meet the federal requirement for the females, and also just to have, as we had a drain clog and the personnel didn't have a shower for over 24 hours. So.
And I'm taking it that people don't want to use the hose off
I
the
knew
truck.
somebody was gonna say something.
For lack of a better
I was waiting
term,
for
that's
that.
swamp water after it sits there so long.
That's right.
So,
And then I think those were the two things, was the bathroom and the heating.
Well, and I also see, Chief had listed here that the Turner Group identified some unsafe, areas that needed to be corrected, unsafe flooring and stairs that they identified in their.
That was going up to the second floor, right,
yeah,
Kevin?
yeah, the stairs were, one section's peeling up and it has to be replaced, and just some small stuff like that, but it adds up. So the big addition's the shower.
It's adding really that second bathroom.
Yeah.
The other one that I wanted, makes sense, the shower. The other one I wanted to ask about is line, for us looking at line numbers 322 and 378, which is the 501.
Ambulance equipment.
Yeah, equipment new, both, so fire and ambulance. That one looks like it's significantly up. What do we got going on there?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find out on my cheat sheet. All right, so what we're looking at is we have portable ultrasound that needs to be updated, and that goes on the ambulance. We are one of the few ambulance services, because we're paramedic level. We carry portable ultrasound that helps with our patient care, finding if they need additional resources or the severity of the injuries. So that's what some of that is.
What's the sort of cost on a portable ultrasound?
We have right here $5,404. We have some software. Probably one of the bigger ones is the Lucas CPR device. The Lucas is a machine that essentially we apply to you, and it does CPR for us. Someone goes in cardiac arrest, it takes about 5 to 6 personnel to officially do a cardiac arrest safe, or to do a cardiac arrest appropriately. Right now, we're not getting the manpower, the extras. We're really only doing 3 or 4. So what this machine does is it frees up 2 people and allows us to give CPR precisely in the way it needs to be delivered without any interruptions, while we can do the IVs, the airways, deliver medications, all that accessory stuff, and remove the patient from the building, or structure, wherever they're in. So that's what this machine does. And that's really a manpower saver, because we're not running 4 people a shift. This will allow us, and especially where our personnel will go to Rumney. We go to Rumney, Ashland, all these surrounding towns that we're contracted with. We don't get the help out there. There is no fire department coming to help us, no EMTs. Most of these towns only have 1 or 2 EMTs, and they only go so often. So this allows our personnel to bring the person in cardiac arrest back to Spearmore Hospital with really no extra help that generally they have. So,
What's the ballpark on that device?
that's around $22,078. Another one expense we have in there is our Swiftwater rescue suits. As you know, those only last so long, and then you got to replace them. We all are Swiftwater rescue technicians. All but 1 personnel is certified now in Plymouth as of this year, which is pretty great. We did over 15 Swiftwater rescues this year. The number's only increasing because for some reason it was a very wet, fast river season. So these suits have to be replaced, and that's what we're looking at doing.
Okay.
those are some of the bigger items on that list for new equipment. The medical equipment, theoretically, we should be getting back in our fixed ambulance costs, so, you know, that all gets factored into the billing. Am I correct in saying that? So, these costs, yeah, they're a large number from, but we do get them back.
What was the rescue suit again?
Swiftwater rescue suit,
Price-wise,
this has it for 6 suits for $6,600.
So about 1,100 apiece.
Yeah, and that's with our discount that we get, because one of our career captains is instructor, so he gets a special rate. So we are lucky in that.
Why is the CPR device not in the CIP?
We've,
Hours? It's only $2,500,
2,000?
yeah.
$22,000? I thought the CIP limit was 10.
No, ours here, you mean? At Town Hall, or you're talking about
no, we're
there?
talking about the Lucas device.
Lucas CPR device.
I'm
Lucas
sorry.
CPR device, because we have not had one, because of the
Well, that's the
price.
perfect opportunity to put it in capital improvement plan.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's in one count or another.
Well, except that the capital improvement plan has to plan for replacement.
Yep.
It inventories all the capital. It's a,
How
it's a
often does
plan
that
for
have to
this
be
town
replaced?
to build and administer, and
I
for us
believe
not to
it's
include
every
it there,
10
it feels like we're
years.
hiding it.
So 10-year replacement.
It could have been that they didn't, when they were doing the lists, they just did not put it in there, so we will put it in there.
We didn't put it in because we haven't bought one yet. I think
Well,
that's
but that's just to try to change the thinking of department heads. All capital goes in the capital improvement plan, regardless of whether or not we've ever bought it in the past. It's
Okay.
not a capital replacement plan, it's a capital improvement plan.
Okay.
So whatever capital we're spending in town should go in this plan.
I will
So
make that
we'll
correction.
take it out of the operating budget and put it in the CIP.
Well, they can still have it in their operating budget as long as it's covered and paid for somewhere.
Yep.
That's fine. Or
Right,
we can put
right.
it in outlay, whichever. Yep.
I think it makes sense to put it in a regular outlay, capital
Yep,
improvement.
because
That
it's
way
a
you don't lose
10-year.
track of it.
Okay.
If you put it in operations, you tend to lose track of it over the years.
The other ambulance services that do contracting have those Lucas machines and,
Almost all of them.
okay, so like with our competitors, if you will, they
Yeah.
have the, what was the other machine that was?
The Lucas, or are you talking about the
In the ultrasound. like,
ultrasound.
Do we
Yes.
find those on our competitors' ambulances?
Yes, all of them that are certified. Canton Thornton has one.
Stewart.
Stewart's, I can't speak for because I'm not sure if they're up to that level. But I'm willing to bet some of them do. I've purposely worked with a couple of their paramedics who are ultrasound certified.
I was just gonna ask about that. So is that part of the paramedic training, the ultrasound
It's an
certification? or is
advanced
this a-
setting above the paramedic. You can
Above and
go,
beyond.
yeah, like, I didn't have it till I came here, and then we all took it at Spear, and that's where it gets, especially for.
So do all our paramedics have that
Yes,
certification
our
now?
Plymouths do. I was actually shocked when I came here that we didn't have a Lucas device. You know, I came from the city of Laconia where we had 10 firefighter paramedics a shift, and we still had them because they work that well and they're that valuable. So that was one thing I asked to be put in this year because we've had a few cardiac arrests in Rumney where my guys have been all by themselves, and I actually had to drive in from home to help them. So that's really, it needs
What
to
was the cost of that again, Kevin?
I'm sorry, which one?
The
Lucas, $22,078. And that includes a service contract.
So that line within that budget will go from 37,588 down to, we'll say 15,588.
Yeah.
And we'll put it in outlay.
Okay. I will add that.
Then next year,
Just send
that
me an
service
email.
contract will be something that is in your operational expense, correct? Do you have a sense of what that contract is year over year?
No, not the top. The biggest thing is the purchase of that, and then I believe it's around $1,500.
So year one, it's included, and
Year one, it's included in this price, and then it's just $1,500 or so for annual service. That's something that I could get from Captain Tebow. He has specific notes on it. Happy to get it back to you if you'd like to know that specific.
Well, we just want to make sure it gets in the right budget.
And I will absolutely take care of that. I apologize. I wasn't aware that this should have been moved over.
Sorry, that's all right.
Let's blame Mark.
Of course, I'm used to.
Blame Sue, she's the head of the CIP subcommittee, so.
Oh, there it is. That's right.
We're not blaming, we're giving people credit.
There it is.
We're giving you credit.
They're awesome to work with, so.
I noticed mutual aid expense is up a little bit, but that seems, is that just because we're doing more of it?
That's because our mutual aid expense. Are you talking about our dispatch expense?
I don't know, there's a line
Talking
item that says
Lakes
mutual
Region.
aid
Lakes Region,
expense.
that's Lakes Region Dispatch Center, so they're a regional dispatch.
They just
and their
increased their
fees all
fee.
went up. They had to fix their side for to maintain and keep personnel. So they increased everyone's payroll, stuff like that. And that's shared between 35 towns.
Any other questions about either ambulance or fire?
I don't have any.
Okay.
So if you move on to page 9, line 710. So that 222,735, the selectmen will be asked to endorse the fire engine lease payment 1 of 5. Am I on the right line here? So we'll be looking to ask for the appropriation, allowing us to get that lease. And it may not be in the coming year's budget, but it will definitely be in the future year's budgets. So once you get that authorization, we'll be moving forward with that.
And that would be the warrant article, is to receive authorization to enter into a lease purchase agreement on engine 4, I'll call it,
The engine 4,
Yeah, that's our tanker.
thank you.
It's
and defer that payment
24 years old.
to July 1st, 2025, because we know there's a 36-month.
We're looking between 30, 36 months for replacement of that truck. And unfortunately, those costs went way up.
The other item is on line 713, which is the ambulance lease. I'm sorry, I did miss one on 701. We already have fire engine, is that really fire engine 3?
Which will be delivered in May.
That's going to be,
Three?
it's going to be changed to engine 2 upon
2,
on
okay.
acceptance, yeah.
Right.
And that delivery, we take delivery of that in May, is that correct?
May,
Tentatively?
we go out, so we're looking at June. So we go out for May for the final, and then they drive it across the country back to us. And it'll be here around June.
Nice.
It'll be good to have that truck here. It's going to be beautiful.
Something we didn't talk about on line 726, when the police department was here, we do have 35,000 for the building needs assessments set aside for that.
Is that part of the 100K of capital reserve you were gonna remove?
No.
Scott, or no?
No.
It's not, okay.
And then, Kevin, we're looking at, and Jen, we're looking at taking out the building fire maintenance, repair, and replacement. There was a request for 25,000 to go in. That's looking at, like, we're gonna take it out because the budgets are up so high right now.
For the public safety complex site review, that 25,000?
That would be the one.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, it says for the fire station, 25,000.
Look at line 737. That will become 0.
So I'm looking at taking this this year's, which was the first year. for the
Yep.
Fire station, to take
Right.
that out.
Yep,
But the
That's gone.
17.5 stays for the, oh, that's part of the payment that has to go to Turner Group, I
that's
think?
part of the 35 that we just talked about.
Okay, good, all right.
So that's
okay.
still in there,
All right, but the 25's out,
right.
got it. Are you keeping it for like maybe starting in 25, 26?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
It's worth a question, though.
Yeah, yeah, it was, yeah. It depends on what the board sends back to the planning board subcommittee and the planning board for future years.
To be determined.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I also seeing that we're taking 120,000 out of capital reserve? Or no?
Taking 100 out of capital reserve was what we.
Oh, no, this was a discount. Never
I'm
mind.
sorry.
Never mind, I was just looking at year over year on line 741, but now I understand what I'm seeing. We put money in there last year, but we're not doing it this year.
And then you mentioned the ambulance.
I did.
Okay.
So the board will be asked to endorse all of these leases before they go to town meeting. Okay? With the payments being 2 years out.
Kevin, what is the current year of the ambulance that are in service today?
I think they're listed right there.
2015?
Yep,
You say there was a 15 in
2020.
2020.
For the
So
15.
the 15 will be replaced, and not soon enough.
And that's the one that you've had so much trouble with over the course of the last 6 months even.
The last 6 months, yeah, it's been in the garage a lot, getting repairs done, like random stuff too, motor seals that have never gone on an ambulance. All of a sudden went. Just really bizarre stuff, and it's unexplainable.
Seems
It's
like
blowing
it's been
through
in
our
the shop
budget.
at least once a week.
It has been. Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Takes care of the ambulance?
We have a maintenance captain and a firefighter, and they use, if it's a Ford motor problem, it goes with Ford motor. If it's a box problem with the ambulance box, it goes through the company that we purchased it through.
So it's either those two.
It's those two. It's only those two. We try to keep it clean, and I've never had the problems like this ambulance. It's just one of those things, and it's not like they're beat on. I mean, they're used regularly. It's the best thing you can use. Do with those trucks is use them, but I know it's very frustrating for us right now.
Anything else related to capital for fire ambulance?
Bye-bye.
Nope, we're good.
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
Kevin.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You didn't
Got the-
sound good last night. when
Is
I
that the
went
completion
over.
of our agenda
Oh,
for
he
today?
called me. He was like,
Before they take off.
I'm like, can you just text me because I can't hear you.
Kevin and Scott are both the emergency management team.
Oh, so should we do that one too?
We can, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's do it.
Line 399, page 5.
I'm sorry. What line was that again?
399, page 5.
399.
Starts on the bottom there and goes up. That budget's gone from 40,600 down to 7,100 and remains there now.
So it's level funded year over year.
It is.
I don't have any questions.
Any questions
All right,
about?
just make sure you guys have looked at it.
Oh,
I don't
thank
want
you.
anyone to
I'm-
say, I didn't see that.
Glad to get that one knocked out too.
Level funded.
Level funded, that's an easy one to look at. All right.
Plan on being here till 3, or you done?
Do you need us for anything else?
Well, you can keep going with your budgets till 3. We'll get it done.
I mean,
Finance-
if there are other sections we can do without
do
guests, then let's do them.
Finance,
We can do all
administration.
kinds of them. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Okay, give me one more.
Are you good with me, Scott?
Yep.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Put in there, thanks.
Knocking chairs over.
So excited to get out of here.
Yeah, running, huh?
So yeah, when Ted gets back, let's do financial administration.
All right, so we can do finance, we can do contracted services, property appraisals, we can do all kinds of them.
Yeah, we'll knock out a few. Ted and I both have to leave.
Yeah, and we also
Both
have,
have meetings at 3 we have to be at, so.
don't forget, I need signatures by Friday from board members.
Yep.
Okay. If we don't have them, maybe we can use your stamps.
I hate
No, we can do it.
Okay.
stamp is sad.
It is sad. I don't like to use them.
You put like 5 stamps all in a row. Like, oh, that's great.
I can give the stamp to you.
So
Next
that-
budget, oh no, we don't have another budget hearing this week, right?
Not this week. We start early next Monday.
Say, should have brought him up. I could have just been signing my name this whole time.
I know, but I wanted you to pay attention.
Jeez. I can't multitask? Come on.
You can, but. Sorry.
No.
Zach, will you be there Saturday for the tournament?
Yes, yes, I don't know what she'll have me doing, but last year I did staging. So all of the, as each of the robots gets ready to go into their match, you gotta make sure they're all ready to go. That's what I did last year.
I've been
I ran
watching the
staging.
videos, reading the manuals,
Learning how it works.
trying to learn
Mike, you need
works.
some-
There's a lot to it.
There is a lot to it. There is a lot to it.
So it will be fun.
We'll see if Xander's robot's ready.
A robotics thing or what?
Yeah, I
There-
got asked to be a judge in the robotics tournament
Oh, yeah?
at the high school. And it's growing in size from 32 teams to 47 teams this year.
Wow.
Are you in
So
papers too?
I think it'll be very interesting to be
It's
part of
pretty
that.
neat. It's pretty neat. You know, the amount of work that those kids put into their robots.
And it's
Xander's
junior
team's
high
always-
and high school, right?
It is mostly high school though.
Yeah.
Xander's team's been behind, you know, because him and his teammate, they both play soccer all fall, so they have no time to work on their robot. Where many of these other schools, they start and, you know, as soon as school starts.
I think we'll be excited. I look forward to
They
it.
go into it. They go into it a little cold, but they'll get caught up by the time the states happens.
Is Panis, does she do, is she long gone or something like that?
No, it's,
She still does it at the elementary school.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's cool.
Beverly Tedeschi.
Tedeschi.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tedeschi.
Beverly Tedeschi.
So page 1, line 62, please.
Page what?
1,
Financial
line
administration.
62, Bill. Back to page 1 again.
Looks like this overall line's up about 31,000.
Yes.
Dog in the building?
Must be.
Must be a
Somebody's
service
friend.
dog, right?
Support dog.
Yeah.
Oh, they can come in.
I don't usually bark.
Right.
The 25,000 of that increase, actually 20,000, I'm sorry. We're hoping to run new cat lines in the building, from, I think we're at cat 3, and we're looking to run cat 4 or 5.
So new network wires.
New network lines, yep. Ours, no work has been done to those lines that I can recall since the building was renovated, which was in the 90s.
And so those wires serve a purpose?
Serve a purpose?
Well, what, I mean, you're running the wires.
Yes.
Okay. But is there a benefit to running wires or going through wireless, which would save you the infrastructure cost of running the wires?
True.
We were recommended to replace the wires by our IT. I can ask that question.
I mean, it's in their best interest to want you to replace the wires, given.
Right.
Yeah, their best interest.
Okay.
So, you know, I'd have to question the reasoning for actually replacing wires at this point in time.
We can definitely research
We'll
that.
ask, yeah.
The consultant wasn't going to be the company to run the wires. We had to get a third party,
Yep.
and that's the quote that we received, I think, 3 quotes, was it, on that?
I was only able to get 2. The first quote came in at 35,000.
Right.
Because I'm imagining that most use cases are just desktops, which are not giant bandwidth eaters. And given that wireless today is capable of 300 megabits,
Okay.
I don't know that I would be investing in a lot of wiring unless we had something that was streaming video.
Yeah, I could understand why
I don't
Dan
know.
would
That
want
one
wired in
office.
this office.
Yeah. But everybody else, I would personally skip the wires.
Okay, we'll ask the
That
question.
makes a lot of sense because a lot of the cost was trying to pull wires
Snake 'em
through this
through.
building.
Yeah.
So that's a really good opportunity that we can look at to see what the savings will
Okay.
be. reflected.
This isn't that big a building. So maybe
No.
a couple of routers in the right locations. They can hotspot it really well if you got somebody that knows what they're doing.
We'll look into it, definitely.
And it's definitely Cat 3 that's run in this building?
It's
It
the,
would have been a long time ago.
yeah, it was in the 90s that,
They don't even put Cat 5 in most places. They use Cat 6 now
okay.
if they're gonna run a wire.
I just want my computer to work,
Oh,
however it
you-
works. I'm
yes.
good with that. You know?
Put the wireless hotspot out in the middle of the office there, and you guys are so close in proximity, you should get pretty good throughput.
Yeah, it's not like you got a lot of walls that
Yeah.
divide this building up, really, and there's
Yeah.
not, yeah, I would think
not
you
like you
do
got-
really well.
Lath and plaster walls
Okay,
between you.
so that was the increase that we have right now, but we'll have to work on that.
I would definitely ask the question.
Yep. It was 17,000 for that.
You might still pay half that in wireless networking equipment.
Yeah, you might.
But that's half.
That's right.
And some of that might be, at wireless adapters for your desktops.
Yep.
Which are like $60 a piece.
Good suggestion.
Any other questions about financial administration? That's pretty much the whole story there.
It is. Revaluation of property. This is for our assessing firm and tax map updates. We did increase that by 5,000. We do have a contract that ends June 30th, 2024. This will be for the new contract. We do know the price is going to increase. So that's why we put the additional amount in there.
And we do have a meeting scheduled with them, or we will have a meeting
Yep.
scheduled with them in
In
January.
January,
Go
yep.
through what the new contract looks like and the associated increase in cost.
And how we're going to assess whether it will be every year, every 2 years, or every 5 for reval. So we're looking at all the different prices.
You wanted a full reval though, right?
We'll do an update. It would be called a reevaluation update. So that would either happen every year or every other year, depending on where the associated costs are to catch the market flux up and down.
Don't we routinely do that anyway? Haven't we done that? Like just a subset of,
But what you're catching is the building permits and changes to property. You're not catching the actual market analysis, sales analysis every year.
right?
With this new proposal, potentially you could pick those up every 2 years or every year, depending on what the market, looks like.
Okay.
Other questions about property appraisal?
Contract services, we're talking about legal and our prosecutor's office.
Very close to level funded.
Yeah,
It's about $1,500 difference.
good. Personnel administration, insurance, that's the FSA expenses that Scott talked about earlier, and the health insurance, you'll see, and then the dental.
You have any concept for how much this is up year over year?
Actually, it's down.
Oh, it's down because we have a new plan. We have a new set of plans.
We have a new set of plans and,
Adjustments.
what else? Yeah,
I think we're at $1,300,000 and some odd thousand last year. And we're down to $1,138,000 this year.
Historically, that's a good number to have. People often ask about that.
Yeah.
Get it early, it's the end of the conversation, so.
And if we say it goes down, it almost never does, so that's a very quick conversation ender.
Exactly.
And
I think you should play it up. It's a significant impact.
And I mean, with the health insurance increase through Health Trust this year was a 13.8% increase, and we've been able to lower it from last year.
We have,
That's good.
we have budgeted this year, 23-24, 1.3 million amongst all the departments. Next year, that's for health insurance, next year, we have budgeted 1.1, so it's down by about 200,000.
That's great.
And we would hope to bring it down even more with adding an additional cost-effective plan.
Right. So, it's a good thing. General government buildings, I'm just gonna keep going until you tell me to stop. 143 is the line. So these are contract services for the town hall, Green Street maintenance, and heating, water and sewer, custodial fees. We are hoping, I didn't see anything, Scott, on the heating system, did you?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, so we're hoping for that to come through, potentially, this is a number that, the 25,000 that you're seeing there, hopefully will go down and maybe even this year, but we don't have anything yet telling us that we can reduce that.
We should have it by today, by the end of business today.
Okay.
That's all down, so.
Yep, that's good. I'm gonna skip cemeteries, because they'll be in next week. Line 173 starts insurance for workers' comp and general liability. We don't have the actual numbers yet. We are anticipating about a 10% increase across the board for both of them. That's the highest they can go, and we have not seen a drop in those rates for quite some time.
I would say we're gonna see an 8 to 10% increase.
Is that with Primex?
It is, yep.
This is more than 10%.
Commercial market is about 26% higher than those costs.
And it's 20%.
Wow.
So insurance not otherwise allocate, oh, that's where I was. Advertising and regional. These are a few nonprofit organizations that we belong to. That these are dues that we pay to belong to them.
Yep.
And they do a lot, I think, for the most part, they do a lot for us.
Yep, the new one's the Chamber of Commerce. We
It
added
is.
that last year.
Yep.
Relac is going up $50, but let's not worry about that.
I've been out of it for a bit. Are we in Lakes Region or are we in,
Lakes Region.
up north?
Lakes.
Lakes Region? Yeah.
That switch was made, how long ago, Bill?
I don't know, 5 years ago, something like that, maybe 6. Time flies.
That makes more sense.
Yes and no.
I'm gonna keep you moving.
Fun up north, but
Keep, I know, I get right
our
through these.
world is more Lakes Region.
Line
You kind of have a foot in both.
461 for street lighting.
61 for,
460.
Which is on page 6.
That's up just a small amount.
It is.
$5,000.
We're hoping that the new solar array is gonna save us some money. We'll see. Airport is coming in. If not, we'll catch them next time. Oops,
Why
sorry.
is street lighting up $5,000 just because?
Because we spent
Spent a lot
64
more.
the year before, so
Okay, okay, all right.
there's no guarantee that they will go down.
they've been going up, their rates have been going up though, I thought, the co-op,
They've been all over the place.
okay.
Yep. And then we have a street that recently, the Energy Commission removed all the streetlights on. We need to have some lights put back in there, so.
Out in Cooksville Road.
Which road?
Cooksville Road off of Fairgrounds Road. Out there,
Yeah,
there was five
five
streetlights
streetlights.
that were removed back
Yeah.
last October.
Why did they
remove them?
Trying to save some money.
I don't have an answer.
Well,
We're still
so-
researching it, but
You talking about the Energy Commission? Mm-hmm. Well, and that was a joint, thing with the police as well, to see which lights you. What?
We'll talk about that.
There's
But,
a
so,
light.
we do have some that need to be put back.
Okay.
Actually, the poles, not the poles, but the actual fixtures were removed as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna cost us some money to put that back in place. They may only need 2 out of 5, but they need something there, so.
Can I just ask, almost as a citizen, I mean, doesn't the authority rest with the select board to
It does.
decide where lights go, not a committee?
It does, and we've made that clear now.
I don't think the town office actually knew about it.
We didn't know about it.
Okay.
But that has been articulated back to them.
You do have a select board rep on the committee. What happened there?
Bill?
I'm not pointing any fingers.
Thus the jury looks
All
for
right,
man.
so even if the light bill doesn't come in that high, we need to do some work,
Okay.
there. All right. Airport, I believe he'll be coming in, okay? Next page, page 527, and I'm moving right along. I'm hoping I'm not pushing it too fast, but Henry Baker Solid Waste District dues, those are the
Did
dues.
we, you said the airport's coming in, so we don't,
Yes.
that's why we skipped
Yep.
on. Okay, just making sure.
Those dues pretty much, we belong to Pemmy Baker, and it also gives us the hazardous waste day.
Yep.
Yep.
The health officer, we should have talked about, well, Kevin was here, that's
It's level funded, we're
level
good.
funded, includes salaries, testing at the, springs down here, anything that's needed there. Pest control is the Humane Society contract that we have, and they did go up, first time in a few years. Actually, they went up a little bit this year, but not as much as they're going next year. I'm gonna leave the health agencies alone for now, because I'm sure that's gonna be a topic of
Yep.
discussion at the next meeting. Welfare is just the welfare officer. And I'll leave the welfare payments for the next one as well. The welfare vendor payments,
Why is the welfare officer up as much as it is? Is this like readjusting
it's
rates
going
or
from,
something?
12 to 14 or 15.
Yeah,
It's a pretty significant percentage.
12 to 15, I mean, in percentages, I mean, in raw dollars, it's not that much, but,
the admin for welfare.
yeah, the welfare officer, it says. From 12 to 15, or overall from 13 to 16.
From 13 to 16 should be a 3% increase.
No,
I will,
yeah,
I'll
3,000,
double check that,
more like a 20% increase.
okay? I'll have an answer at the next meeting. The welfare vendor payments, this is where we actually offer the assistance to individuals who need assistance. We don't offer it, they come in and ask for it. We've actually decreased that by 20,000 this year in hopes that we've,
What line is that? I just.
that's gonna be line
563.
562 and 3.
Thank you.
There's no ever a guarantee on that line. Welfare, it is what it is. Library's coming in, so I'm gonna move on to line 653, the Conservation Commission. We didn't call them on the meeting. They're keeping their budget the same for the coming year.
Will the cost of lights roll up under their budget?
No, nope. Nope, the Energy Commission covers the lights.
Okay.
653 is care of trees. We did increase that, knowing that there is some work to be done, additional work at the request of the Highway Department, to fix those. Debt service.
Can we learn more about what the highway service is gonna do?
For the trees?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe note that for when we talk to highway. Debt service. These are just all the bills.
These are the big bills. And we're not looking to bond anything for the coming years, so everything, these are all the payments we need to make. We have a few more years on some of them, not as many on others.
It's a typo in 667.
Capital land and improvements. You see the 10,000, that is for the landfill monitoring, which kind of continues forever. The next would be highway. The next one that you're gonna see is, what's 250 is? South Main Street is in there, and that is something that we have asked to keep in there, 250,000. We know that we have additional bills coming through. We know that we potentially could have some specialized testing, for soils. This is the best guess number that we could come up with.
And hopefully we'll have some concrete information within the next couple weeks with regards to what DES is reporting back in the soil scientist.
The next line is going to be the Highland Street. We do have funds there. It's an 80-20 grant. We have some money that has been saved, but the bids we're anticipating are going to come in just like they did on South Main Street, much higher than what we originally thought that they would. So that is an additional amount there that we have set as a placeholder. Capital machinery vehicles, so we're going to leave the 161,945, that's on line 702. We're going to leave the 65,000 for the police cruiser. We're going to
Well, most
add-
of these we'll end up talking through with highway,
Yep.
so we can probably just hold those.
All right, we're going to add the Lucas
Yep.
defibrillator. Is that what that's called? What is that called? CPR simulator or whatever.
Lucas device for CPR.
Device, thank you.
CPR device.
All right, so police, yeah, I'm just going down through. Capital buildings, transfer to capital reserve. We do have the proposal in the transfer to capital reserves, which starts on line 730. We're gonna leave the 5,000 in for the Conservation Commission. We're gonna remove the 30,000 for dispatch. We're gonna leave the 15,000 in for the reval. The reason that we're asking for that to remain is because we really need to do a update of our reval software. And that, we're looking at about $30,000 to $40,000 to do that. So that's what that will be used for. The 25,000 for the two buildings will be removed. We'll leave the 17,500 in for PBTV. And the 5,000 for the library will be removed as well. So without making any of those changes right now, the budget, the department heads is up 23,521. The town managers is down 103,605. The budget committee is down 103,605 as well. Okay. We did take out the 1.8 million that we had last year because you really can't count that as part of the budget.
Now, it'll be down more once some of those other town manager,
Yes.
as my notes say, be down 726.
Right.
Once the other town manager recommendations are in place.
Yep, but we just wanted you to see what the budget committee saw and what they originally recommended. So your next meeting should be quicker, unless you may not need that third meeting.
Well, we'll see.
That would be terrible.
Yeah. Fewer meetings is good. Fewer meetings is good. All right, well, I think that sees us adjourned.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
That way I can go to another
Thank you for your
meeting.
time.
Happy to be here.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you mostly.